too much jewelry, stuff down totally. Could be too much jewelry. He can't drive.
Yep.
All right, ready to do this? Let's do it.
So,
All right. Welcome to another episode of Grinds My Gears. I got with me today professional boxer Nick Fantozzi. Did I say that right?
yes, you did.
I got the Italian right.
Yeah, there's a few ways to pronounce it, and you got the way we say it. So we say Fantozzi.
Are you pasta Italians or pasta Italians?
I'm pasta. I say pasta.
Do you get pissed off? Yeah, I have a buddy.
So as long as you, it's good.
I have a buddy who, like, every time you say it, pasta, he gets fucking mad. He's like, "That's not how you say it, man."
You know what? It's all the same, man. I don't care how you cook it, how you say it, as long as it's good.
As long as it's got some meat sauce and some meatballs on it, you're like it, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, professional boxing. That's what you do for a living. That's what you're known for. I mean, you've talked about how you got into it and stuff like that. So I don't feel like that's not what we do on this podcast. We don't like any of that. We just talk like normal, right? So I
Yep.
kind of like, you got a fight coming up. I guess in March, right?
Yeah, March 11th.
Any news on that in terms of opponents and stuff like that?
They gave me a name. It's not announced yet, but they gave me a name. It's my first fight in the super middleweight division.
Yeah.
I fought my whole career at light heavyweight, which boxing it's 175 pounds.
Okay.
The last couple fights I had, I was underweight. I was like actually trying to gain weight for the fight. So, we just said, even though I'm a big, strong light heavyweight, they told me let's try you at super middleweight because you made like 2 fights ago. I was 170.8.
Oh, shit.
So
So you're already low going into
yeah,
it.
and I didn't even
Yeah.
cut. I don't even cut. I'm in such good shape that why not go to 168?
Yeah. And boxers don't really cut that much compared to like MMA fighters. Like, I know we're stupid when it comes
To be honest, man, you guys are crazy for a lot of things.
yeah, like
One of those.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was saying one of those leg kicks. I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
And two the weight cuts.
Well, like even the knees. Like last night I was doing a little sparring and like I caught a glancing knee and then my fucking eye got cut open. So
Oh wow.
that's some of the stupid shit that goes on in MMA. But like even like 'cause I've trained with a lot of boxers at Grants and stuff like that.
Yep.
They stay with you guys stay well within 5, 7 to 8 pounds. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's because boxing is a lot different than MMA in terms of its physical demand. You guys are able to compete a lot more often and more frequently
Mhm.
than MMA fighters. So is the methodology of keeping the weight within that range because of the competition schedule. Traditionally, like professional boxers get 4 fights, sometimes 5, even more in a year compared to MMA, where you're lucky if you get 2, right?
Yeah, you're probably right, and also I think the fact of wrestling, like wrestlers, from my understanding, cut a lot of weight for the competitions.
Oh, a ton,
So,
ton.
yeah, so a lot of that translated over to MMA. So this other guy who is not used to cutting weight says, "Oh, if this guy's doing it, then I should too, or else I'm going to be at a disadvantage."
Yeah.
And I think that just spurred them. Like, I know some guys, like I know Elias, great
Yeah.
guy. Unfortunately, what happened, and it's really sad that he passed. But I remember he used to cut a crazy amount of weight
A
before his fight.
fuckload. Like, I've trained with him,
Yeah,
before he passed, and for 185, that motherfucker was huge.
he was like 32.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He cut a lot of weight, but I mean, credit to him. His cardiovascular system was next level. But at the same time, it takes a toll. Like for me, for example, like I've had a couple surgeries, and because of this the stupid pandemic shit, I
mhm.
haven't competed in about 3.5 years, and
Wow.
no desire to, because I do middleweight
Mhm.
or welterweight, which is 170. I have no desire to compete at 170
Yeah,
anymore. That like it was rough just getting there normally, and
yeah,
I like now as I get older, I'm like, there's like I don't want to be that miserable going into fight week because you know how the pressure of a fight, all the things are going. You're exhausted because you've been training for 8+ weeks sparring, and then to top it off, you got to cut your body weight percentage by 20%. Right? It's exhausting and stupid. Is
Yeah.
that something that you try to actively avoid, like keeping your weight, like you said, in really, really close or even under, just so that it's one less thing to worry about?
Yeah, I've always, to be honest, not that I'm lazy, I just because I work my butt off, but I've always kind of fought out of my weight class. Like when I was an amateur, I was walking around 185 pounds if I was lucky, and I was
Yeah.
fighting at 201. So I fought
Okay.
guys that were cutting from 201, and then
Yeah.
I even fought. I remember they even put stuff in my pockets on the scale because I couldn't get any fights at heavyweight, so I fought at super heavyweight. So I fought guys 230, 240, 250, and I was 190 pounds soaking wet.
Shit.
So yeah, when I went pro, I went to 175. My last amateur fight was 178,
Yeah.
and then I went pro 175, and then, it's for me, it's easy. It's all it's not the work's there. It's just diet for me. Like
Yeah.
during, especially during the like you were talking about the pandemic, during that all that crap, I just focused on other things. I changed my diet. Now, like weight for me is easy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to super middleweight. So most guys at my age move up in weight. I'm going down,
Yeah.
and that just shows you I'm in great shape. So
The your amateur career was really long, right? And it was because you had a lot of injuries, correct?
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
You wanna what kind of injuries did you have? Because I feel that pain. The same thing happened to me during my MMA career, and so like I kind of like to put it out there so other people learn from our mistakes, right?
yeah, and all what you just said is perfect mistakes, and the mistake I made was working too much. Not just with training. It was with training with everything.
Yeah.
I'd go work my day job, so I'd work. I'd be up at 5 a.m. and I finish work at 3:30, 4 o'clock. From there, I go right to the gym. I sleep in my car for half an hour. I train. I leave the gym. I
Yeah.
eat something. I go back to the other gym, and if I didn't go to the gym twice, I felt like a bum.
Yeah.
So I overtrained, went to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 5, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. So lack of sleep, not, I guess, eating properly, and just overworking my body, not just the training with work and everything.
Yeah.
You know, then that was like a couple times I wanted to stop boxing because I'm like, you know what, my body's not holding up. I just get injury after injury because I'm not recuperating. I'm not recovering.
Yeah, exactly what you just said there is what I did in my 20s. And that's like I would fight once or twice and then have to have a surgery and then I'd fight again, I'd come back and then have to have some sort of surgery and that's been like the plague of my career, but it was for the exact same reasons, right? It was like I felt like even to this day, I feel like a bum if I have to take a day off because I'm like exhausted. You know,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like I'll be like my wife and my kids be like, "Oh, stay home, come on." And I'm like, "No, I gotta go train." They're like,
Yeah,
"Dude, you don't have anything. You're in great shape." Like, what the fuck? And I'll be so I'll sit at home and I'll be moping for a good hour. I'll be like, I feel like a fucking loser. And my wife's like, "Shut the hell up." Well, my wife is like, "Shut up, you asshole, you retard. You're like one day is not gonna kill. You're not gonna forget.
yeah,
You're a black belt. You're not gonna forget how to be a black belt because you took a night off,
yeah.
right?" And I think that's a tragic flaw that every fighter has.
It is. It's good. Like you're exactly right. It's a flaw because it's good and it's bad. You know, it's good to work hard, but if you don't listen to your body, if you don't take days off when you need, you end up getting hurt. So things that happened to me, like they're just nothing was from fights. It was always from training.
Same,
You know,
yeah.
I'm sparring. I hit a guy literally 30%, hit him to the body, just a little body shot. I ruptured my bicep. I tore my bicep, so I had to have bicep surgery. One day I go to training. I was fine. I get home, I go for a nap. I was exhausted. I went for a nap. I woke up, I couldn't move. My back seized up. I had a herniated disc in my back, and I was,
God, yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah,
I like, I've torn my pec, right? And I like telling this story because people will learn from this shit. Is like I was at home, like I went to work early and then I got off early. So then, sparring's at 1. So it's like 10 or 11 o'clock. I'm laying on the floor in my living room. I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. And my wife's like, well, just, just chill. Maybe take a nap, go to sleep, and do something light tonight. I'm like, no, I gotta go spar. I got, so I dragged my ass all the way out there, spar.
Yep.
and I actually get through the whole session. Like all the sparring is great. Okay, I make it through it, and then at the end we're just doing some like light grappling stuff to like wind down.
Mhm.
And I get put in a position where I'm in all the time. Like somebody's going for an armbar, I'm getting out, like the elbow's out, and then all of a sudden I just feel a ripple, and
Oh,
and that was the tear, right? And but the lesson was there was that you were exhausted going in there, like your body wasn't ready for it. You're lucky you made it out of sparring without a fucking concussion or a serious
mhm,
injury, but like I was already like severely compromised going in,
mhm.
and that one bad decision set me back 8 to 10 months, right?
Yeah.
So it's a thing where fighters you need to listen to your body, but also too when you have something coming up, you got to say fuck it, you got to go sometimes, right?
You're exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
you can't yeah.
and your boxing style, have you like over the years kind of mimicked it after other boxers that you kind of watch, or is it kind of something that you've put together on your own?
I guess you could say a little bit of both. I try not to be too basic. I try to take things from all different fighters, like fighters who I'll never be able to emulate, like Roy
Yeah,
Jones. Like
yeah,
never my style. I'm not like that quick, like little bam bam, get out of
yeah.
there, that kind of stuff.
The
But
speed that that he brings to the game, right? Yeah.
like just crazy speed. But what I'll do is take certain moves that he does and make them my own, right? And
Okay.
then
Yeah.
I'll add in a little bit of the Lennox Lewis jab. You know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. But you
Yeah.
take little things from and you kind of make it your own style, and that's kind of what I do because with me, a lot of people think it's awkward to either fight me or spar me because they don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like I'm going one way, I'm going the
Yeah.
other. I'm doing this, I kind of just like to diversify a little bit.
Yeah. And is that something that you teach? Because I know you coach and you
Yeah.
teach as well. Is that something that you kind of teach to your students and your clients as well, like to like pick things from that work for you, or how do you kind of when you're coaching, how do you kind of translate that message?
So a lot of my students are either beginners or they're a little bit of experience, not much. So I just stick with them. I just stick with the basics.
Yeah.
And my more experienced people, we kind of deviate from that a little bit, and that's when you could help them. Watch videos, see what people do, okay, or like even if like their body type and their style resembles certain fighters, I'll say, okay, look at that guy and see what he does, and we go from there, right? But the biggest thing that I like stress with my training is technique and just doing everything like like you're driving when you're learning 10 and 2
Yeah.
like that's how you're learning to box. Everything is tight, everything's
Well,
yeah.
like when I'm training some of my students as well, like I tell people learn textbook, right? Learn how it is to be done textbook. Because like people come in the gym and they'll see like you'll see this shit all over Instagram. Oh, how to do Mike Tyson's peekaboo style, right? Or how to emulate Dominic Cruz's footwork. And I'm like, these are like or like Lomachenko's footwork, even, right?
Yeah,
Like these are specific things to specific athletes to specific body types.
mhm,
You're never gonna be able to emulate Lomachenko's footwork. You're never gonna be able to do what Canelo does in the ring. You're never gonna be able to do the peekaboo style like fucking Mike did.
yeah,
Nobody's been able to emulate those like to the T. You've never seen anybody
yeah,
box like Mike does, and he's been done boxing years and years, right? I mean, he's doing some shit now, but that's just I think he's just making he's just having some fun, right? But
yeah,
like learn textbook technique, and then as fundamentals, and as you progress in the game, that's when I say good coaches say be creative, like start being creative and work on if you like to put your hands down to lure somebody in, sure do it, but just be aware of the consequences that kind of thing. But don't don't start your journey as a combat sport athlete trying to emulate another athlete. It's never going to work for you because your body types are too different. Your brain makeup is too different. The way your body responds to somebody coming at you is different. So you like
yeah,
you can't do peekaboo style if you fucking are a counter fighter.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And one of the things, because touching on that is one thing that I hate the most, and you gotta be proper. You gotta run your business properly, right? If people
Yeah.
message you or they contact you about training, you have to give them the time to explain things. But the one thing that I don't ever want to even bother responding to these people when they say to me, but I do obviously. But
Yeah.
I want to like, what do you? How do you teach? And then I tell them, no, I don't want that. I want to learn the Mayweather style, the Mayweather pad work. When they say that to me, I literally just want to block them. But like,
Yeah. But you're
it's
trying to
just
be a good businessman.
but you're trying to be, you know, and just be understanding that people are excited to do something, but
Yeah.
especially if they're younger, they see the, you know, videos of McGregor and Mayweather doing stuff and it looks cool, or you know,
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia, it looks cool, but you never see them do that stuff in the ring.
Yeah.
But they're
No.
just doing this stuff
Like
and
Mayweather's never throwing 60 punch combos in the fucking
yeah,
ring. No.
no,
But touching on that, like the thing, like I talked to I don't know, you know Methusen, right?
yep,
Yeah, I talked to him about this too, and I like to get all different boxers' opinions about this because I'm
mhm,
coming from the MMA realm, so it's a little different. This YouTube boxing phenomenon with all these YouTube boxers,
mhm.
and what's your thoughts and feelings about how this has progressed over the last couple of years?
See, to be honest, I'm indifferent. I don't look at it as good or bad. I don't really care. There's always been, you know, little scale like celebrity boxing, this and
Yeah.
that. Me as an athlete, I'm gonna take it as, instead of looking at, you know, one of these Paul brothers saying, "Oh, this guy doesn't, you know, he just started boxing 5 years ago. Why does he get this money and I don't get that money?" Instead of looking at it like that, like kind of a jealous standpoint, I look at, you know what? Maybe I could get that money if I had the same network. So maybe that's my fault. You know,
Yeah.
I should build my network more. You know, I think it is for what it is. He's not fighting top guys. He's not gonna be
No.
fighting top guys. He's fighting to make money, and he's a businessman. And as much as I hate saying it, boxing is all about business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it doesn't matter how good of a fighter you are. If you say you're only fighting for the love of the sport and you're not fighting for money, then you're either, you know, you're either very dumb or you're gonna end up brain dead, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, this you know how tough it is. This sport is insanely tough, and
Yeah.
you know, when the sport's driven by money, you have to kind of act accordingly because you can't just do things saying, "Oh, I'm a fighter. I'll do anything. I'll fight anybody. I'll just do whatever I want." Because
Yeah.
what happens in boxing? You lose one fight, you're a bum.
Yeah, exactly. It's different than MMA. MMA, you can lose the fight, but if it's exciting, people want you back, right? But like in
yeah,
boxing, the minute you cross like, 3 or 4 losses, it's like you're an extinct, like you're fucking done, right?
yeah.
Is it it's a is it a marketing thing, or is it more of like I've talked about this before, like the corruption that goes in with boxing? Is it more because they can't market you, or is it because at the end of the day, once you lost like 3 or 4,
Mm.
fuck you.
Yeah, it just for some reason it's that whole, you know, Mayweather mindset where, oh, I'm so good because I'm undefeated. I have that zero. That's
Yeah.
not why he's good, you
No.
know. But like I tell people this all the time. Here's an example. If Mayweather fought, sorry, when Mayweather fought Pacquiao, despite their age, despite, you know, any of that
Yeah.
being too late, they fought. If Pacquiao would have beat Mayweather that fight, everybody, not everyone, most people would say, "Oh, Mayweather's overrated. He's a bum. He never fought anybody." But
Yeah.
then he won, so everyone's talking highly of him. Like that one fight, if he just made a couple of mistakes, one mistake, couple of mistakes, all of a sudden his whole legacy's out the window. And
Yeah.
that's that he kind of was responsible a little bit for that. But you know, it's how it is in boxing. For some
Yeah.
reason, it's not like UFC where it's like it's pretty much that's the main organization. Where
Yeah.
boxing, you know, there's so many organizations out there, so many different champions that, you know, you
They,
lose that allure.
is it because because there's so many different organizations and so many different champs? Is it the way promoters use to kind of secure their money by doing that? And then like how like there's a lot of times you'll be like, you'll see a champion in a certain organization, and you're like, how in the fuck did the guy, like, he's fighting some sort of bum to
Yep.
kind of to pad his record and keep it like there? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Is it a way that promoters use to kind of keep their cash cows, so to speak?
Yeah, it's all about money. It's like they're not going to make a fight happen until it's perfect and the money's lined up, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, just like we're saying, you lose one fight in boxing, something happens, like, oh, all of a sudden he's a bum, like
Yeah.
that. Why? Like, there's no reason whatsoever. Say Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence aren't fighting.
Yeah,
There's no reason. The only reason why they're not is because both organizations, both promoters don't want to,
to lose
you
their
know,
cash cow,
lose.
right?
If they
Yeah.
lose one fight, then that guy he's making, not like he's significantly less, but he'll still make money. But that's how it is. It's
But
like,
like the good a really good example of that was not too long ago, 3 or 4 years ago, when you had Wilder, Joshua, and Fury, and like everyone wanted to see Fury and Joshua. Like that was the fucking fight, and then the politics and the money got involved, and you couldn't get that fight, and then along comes Ruiz,
yep,
and he fucks the whole thing up. The minute he knocks out Joshua, nobody gives a fuck about that fight anymore. Which
yeah,
I still care about it. I still want to see it. But like
100%.
the the it was like a promoter's nightmare. Like whoever is in charge of Joshua's career, that was like the dumbest thing you could have done, because if you're gonna lose to somebody, you want to lose to Tyson Fury.
Yeah,
He's the best in the sport right now, hands down. So
yeah,
like you padding his record and giving him whatever fights and him coming out like a fucking king and all that bullshit, and then he loses to Ruiz. And I'm not saying Ruiz isn't a great boxer; he's a great boxer, but I think Ruiz fucked himself with how he handled it after, because
I'm
he was literally
on top of the
on
world.
on top of the world, and all he had to do was just train. Like
Yeah,
he could have stayed fat.
yeah,
He could have kept his belly. He could have stayed fat. All he had to do, all he had to do was keep training, and he didn't even have to get better. He just had to just be at that same level when he beat Joshua. But he just didn't do it. He fucked it up, and because he did that, it made Joshua look worse, in my
yeah,
opinion. And
yeah,
because Ruiz decided to fuck off, and it made Joshua beat him the second time. You're like, how in the fuck did he beat you the first time?
hmm
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
then the stain, and Joshua's a great boxer, but the stain on his legacy would be like, well, if you were gonna lose, you should have lost to Tyson, or you should have lost to Wilder.
yeah.
One of those two. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I should be careful with my words, but I'm not gonna be. And this is about my market, right?
Yeah,
It's all comes down to the fans. And I hate saying this, but it's true. I hate talking bad about them, but
yeah,
it's the keyboard warriors that have never stepped foot in a boxing gym or an MMA gym, and they've never seen anything. And they're, even I see it in my fights, and I see videos, people yelling of for me what to do when they've
yeah,
never seen a boxing gym ever in their life. Like,
yeah.
oh, jab. Okay, don't you think if I could have jabbed at that time, I would have jabbed?
Yeah, exactly.
You're telling me to jab, so I just got to jab because this, and then say you lose, then all of a sudden, oh, he wasn't that good, or oh, he, this and that, you know, it just
It,
that's the problem is like they talk bad, they don't want to watch the person because they think he sucks because of one fight. That's just how it is.
you know what annoys me? Oh, it goes well with my show. It grinds my gears. You know what fucking grinds my gears? This is why I stopped. I used to, when I was broke. I used to go and watch the fights at like a bar or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I would be angry the whole time, because you'd be sitting there watching like a UFC fight, and someone would take somebody down, the lying on the fucking ground, and some guy on the bar, just get up.
get up.
Why doesn't he just get up? You're not doing anything. Why doesn't he just get? I'm like, motherfucker. Like there's so much, like
Yeah,
in terms of grappling, like there's so much stuff going on there. Yeah, it kind of looks like they're not doing anything, but they're actually like fighting for frames. They're fighting for position. They're trying to get his hips an inch out of the way just so he can, gain some leverage. And then
yeah,
these fucking guys are yelling at the screen, and I'm just like, I'm going crazy. Like, and I've already had like maybe one drink, right? So I'm a lightweight, so I'm like already a little buzzed, and I'm like, fuck, and like this is where like I'm lucky my wife like watches fights with me too, so she calm down. So then
yeah, chill.
after a while, when life started getting better for us and I started making money, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna order a fight at home,
Yeah,
because
right.
I'm spending the same money going to the bar anyway. I just go
Yeah,
order at home, and I don't have to listen to fucking people. And it's weird because I like to, when I actually sit and watch fights, whether it be boxing or MMA, I like to have all the lights off, like a nice cup of tea. I'll like right now I'll take CBD oil and get a little high, and I'll just be a little high, and I'll just fucking watch fights, and I'm like studying. You know what I mean? And I'm
yeah,
like enjoying like the art of boxing or the art of mixed martial arts, and I'm like, ooh, that was really nice. And I'm just sitting in the dark, like, oh, that was a really good move.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Or I'll be like listening, I'm like, fuck you, Joe Rogan. That's not what's happening. I was
You know what? You're gonna laugh at me when I say this. I had one of those know-it-all experiences once when I was watching MMA.
yeah.
So I was watching. I was at a bar and I was watching Anderson Silva against Chris Weidman, the first one.
Okay. Yeah.
So I believe it went one round at first, like before it went to the second. It was going like so. I'm seeing him do all this. His hands are down. He's being all showboaty.
Yeah.
Some guy beside me starts talking. He's like, "Oh, he's gonna get knocked out." Blah blah. Blah. And I, Mr. Know It All, me over here, looked at him. I'm like, "No, he's way. He's outclassing him. He's making him look silly. He's not gonna get. There's no way he's getting knocked out."
Yeah.
And then
And
it's
boom,
like
gets knocked out.
I'm just
Dude,
like, "Ugh."
I watched that fight at a bar, and Anderson's my favorite fighter of all time. So like when you watch your favorite fighter, like you get really nervous for them, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like when that fucking happened, like I was just like sitting,
yeah.
and that time she was my girlfriend, but she's my wife now. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Let's just go home."
Just
I'm like, "Let's pay the bill. Let's just go home. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just go home." I I loved Anderson. Like when I heard his music come on, like I'd be like my heart would start
yeah,
beating a little
yeah,
extra. That's how much of a fanboy I was. So that fight hurt my heart a lot.
yeah.
But
Fair to bring it up.
what do you think about that fight that he did with Jake Paul?
To be honest, I didn't see it. I just saw the highlights.
Uh,
Yeah, I didn't watch. Yeah.
you know what? I'm tired of watching those guys. I MMA, stay the fuck out of boxing. Boxing, stay the fuck out of MMA.
Agree.
I hate this the
Company.
compare yeah, this call yeah, it's two different things, man. And if you can't respect each other's art, then what the fuck are we doing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The worst thing I ever seen of with all this, and good for them for making their money. I
Yeah.
don't blame them because a lot of the Mike Tyson, Holyfield, you hear they're all end up broke. Mike Tyson, and he's doing better now, but I don't want to see any of these older guys, get hurt. And
Yeah.
worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you saw Vitor Belfort and Evander Holyfield.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So Evander Holyfield, just looking at the way he moved, I would feel bad if we were sparring,
Yeah.
let alone fighting. Like
Yeah.
I would even want to. He's a legend. He's accomplished more than any of us can ever dream of.
Yeah.
But you know, I just felt so bad watching that fight because he got demolished by Belfort, and then Belfort's jumping on the ring. He's raising his head. He's going nuts. He's pounding his chest. So you
Yeah.
just beat up a 60-year-old man. Like,
And Belfort is juiced to the tits too. Like
yeah,
he's on every fucking chemical you can buy in Mexico and every other country,
yeah,
right? Uh, and yeah, yeah, that's do you like for the amount of money that's in boxing compared to MMA,
mhm,
why why are guys blowing through their cash like that? Is it just because some of them come from well, I mean, this could be said for a lot of fighters, not for me,
yeah,
but some of them come from a lot of rough upbringings and they didn't have much and if they finally get something and then they just
yeah,
piss it all away or
yeah,
what I see it in boxing more than MMA because there's not much money in MMA, so it's hard to do that.
mhm.
Why is it that that happens to a lot of the guys?
It's probably, I'm just gonna guess, but it's probably because they don't know how to manage their money, and then they think this money is gonna never run out. So that's just my guess. And
Yeah.
then they spend money. They're around the wrong people. They get taken advantage of. Like they get taken advantage of, and especially like you said, maybe a lot of them aren't educated. They didn't grow up knowing certain things about money or how
Yeah.
things work or bad investments, or they hear an idea, they want to be cool, so they jump into an investment, then the investment tanks.
Well, we just answered our own question because Mike bought a fucking tiger. That's the worst
There
investment.
there you go.
Yeah. Why?
Eating
Yeah.
disposal of food, right?
Like now you're how old now? 34, 35?
I'm actually 37 in May.
37. Jeez. Um, at that age, most people are kind of not looking to professional box or like do anything like that. Now, what is your like plans going forward? Because I know like you spent a lot of your 20s in the amateurs and injured and stuff, and
Yeah.
you still feel fresh and like you're in your prime in your 30s.
Yeah.
But
So
at some point, like, what do life, right? Like,
yeah.
is there a plan that you kind of have going forward in terms of when you want to kind of stop this or when you want to like maybe transition to just coaching?
Yeah, so it's a tough question.
Yeah,
You know, I've always worked on other things as well. I'm working on other things as we speak, but you know, when it comes to boxing, I feel great. People are shocked when I tell them, I'm 36, and people are
yeah,
shocked, and especially in the gym, like you don't see me slacking, you see me working hard. I do more than I should all the time. I do twice a days, most days. When I start slowing down, I'll know,
yeah.
and I'm not at that point yet. I've been boxing for 16 years now, so it does take a big toll on your body. But I'm still young. I'm still fresh. What you eat really does play a huge part in it. So I've always
Sure.
had high energy. So take the high energy, take my proper diet, taking care of myself. I don't feel my age. I definitely feel a lot younger. And even though it's not it's a young man's sport, I don't feel old yet.
Do you feel like as you're getting older and still being able to compete, you're actually the um the craftiness is kind of coming out now where you got young guys that are, yeah, they're good, they're athletic, they got
Yep.
great technique, but because you've been around longer and you didn't take that punishment, well,
Yep.
you took punishment but you didn't take that head trauma in your
Yeah.
20s, right?
Yes.
You're able to kind of use that experience to kind of beat them at their own game, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. Like now I'm getting the craftiness. I'm still in great shape, and then I'm getting the craftiness, along with that, even especially over the last couple of years. Just especially during the whole, COVID crap.
Yeah,
I'm focused so much on my technique, and a lot of people, weren't able to do stuff. I was still able to do a lot of stuff, not everything, but a lot. I was working out like crazy, and I just worked on a lot of things, and I got better. And even now, I'm getting better every time I train. Every camp is better, and
yeah.
it,
I find that too. Like I'm only 33,
yeah,
but because I'm on like surgery 6, right? And but like every time I consider like stopping or hanging up, like because when my wife is like, if you get another fucking surgery, you're done. Then I have another surgery, and then it's like if you get another one after that, you're done, right? And then I find like, okay, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time. And then I'll like heal up and I'll go in and I'll be like, yeah, let me get a sparring day in. You know what I mean? And I'll spar and I'll surprise the shit out of myself. Like I'll start beating up on guys that are like 25 years old and,
yeah,
are fighting pro and doing really well. And I'm like, holy fuck. I'm like, so like for me, it's like, I wouldn't say I'm fighting for, or I'm continuing and still have the passion to fight for love, but it's like I'm seeing a lot things differently. Like when I was in my 20s, in terms of technique, I would just kind of fight.
yeah,
I would just get in there and I would fight and I would respond.
yep,
Whereas I find like now, especially with this time off that I've had and this kind of transition in life, like I'm a dad and all this shit, I'm like I'm analyzing. Like the round will start and I'm like, okay, so he's orthodox. Okay,
yeah,
so he's moving this way. He likes to move this way. Okay, look, his left hand's down. Whereas in my 20s, I wasn't thinking like that. I'm like, just fucking
yeah,
go, 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 double leg, get him. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You find that
yeah,
that's kind of how you're feeling and how you're processing fighting now.
100%, 100%. You could still take some of the attitude, the aggression, all that kind of stuff, but at the
Yeah,
same time, you're a lot more calculated now. So, you know, and you know how it is too. It's on the outside, it looks easier said than done. People might see me spar, and it's happened before. Oh, if I would do this, I get you here. I do this. I do this. Okay, then they're in the ring and they can't do it.
they can't
Like
do it.
it's a
Yeah.
completely different story. So you
I,
know,
do you find now too? Do you like setting traps like for when you're fighting and sparring? Is that something that you kind of do a lot of
oh,
compared to
100%.
like when you were amateur?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've always thought of it, to be honest, like I've always thought of myself as a very intelligent fighter. I don't, I'm very like aggressive. I fight with my heart a lot, but I also don't put myself in bad positions. Like I
Yeah,
don't get, like you're talking about damage. I've never taken a lot of damage in my fights.
yeah.
My last fight was the only time I've ever taken damage for a couple shots, and that's I'm a little bit angry about that fight, but
Yeah.
yeah,
it is what it is. We learn from it, right? That's
100%.
um. Now this is what I really wanted to talk to you about, the COVID crap,
Oh,
right?
right.
Uh, uh. Now
It's a huge topic, but
a
it's like
huge topic. It's a huge topic, but like the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is like I know because I follow you online and I follow your career. I know how you felt about a lot of the stuff, right? And I asked this to Josh Hill when I talked to him too. Is like because you were feeling a certain way and you weren't afraid to express it. Did you feel any pushback from people in boxing or promoters, or did you feel like people were kind of shunning you and it affects your likes and your fucking you get shadow banned and all that kind of shit?
to
Did
be honest, yeah. I actually this is kind of weird because I had both ends. I had people that literally would bring it up to me and they'd laugh about it how dumb I was for my thoughts, right?
yeah,
I'd have people literally laugh and make jokes about, how the way I feel. All those people that have done that subtly tell me, you were right.
yeah,
But not they don't even say it outright, but it's like, "Oh, I wish, I didn't do this. I wish I would have thought this," or,
yeah,
then I had a lot of people that were supporting it and supporting me and saying, "Good for you for saying stuff." Like, I had countless people, even a couple days ago, telling me, "You should just keep to yourself about all that stuff. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about this or that." And the way I look at it is I'm not gonna compromise my own, whatever you say, integrity, anything.
yeah,
Um, you know, I'm gonna say what I feel, and if that causes me to lose some ticket sales or lose some merch sales, or you know, I didn't have most people that would argue with me still support me. They know me as a person. They like me,
yeah,
and I didn't really lose a lot of friends that way. However, um, you know, it did make people think differently, and I to be honest, I don't care.
yeah,
I don't care if people, if if I went against what I believe, then who am I as a person? And people say, "Oh, you're an athlete. You're not a doctor. You shouldn't talk about this stuff. Just let the doctors talk about it." Okay, let the doctors talk about it, and look where that led us this whole time.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
I agree with you. Yeah,
they're brought up in the system. They're brought up to push medicine. They're brought up to push treatments, and look what happens. Like the whole world was shut down. It's still kind of crazy. Like
yeah,
there's still like emergency whatever going on. Like
yeah. And I felt the same thing. I was in a luckier position where um because I have my own business and stuff like that, it didn't really affect me
yep,
as much. Um, but my position was always like you said, you should. I think that's the problem with how we're living today is people don't express how they feel,
yep,
right?
yep,
And it's twofold, and I can see it from both angles because like one, you have a job. Like say your job is an accountant, right? And you work for this firm and they don't want you they want an image a certain way, right?
exactly. Yep,
And if you speak out now, you're going to get fired or you're going to get uh they're going to get discipline you and
reprimand.
you might lose your job, right? And then
Yep,
there's also the perspective like where we see it from this way, if you believe in yourself and in your thoughts, you should be able to express them, right?
yep,
And I understand both, right? And and
yeah,
and for me, it was shitty that they even put people in a position or companies, for example. We live in a day and age where a company can dictate how you should or shouldn't feel about any subject,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Whereas like it's my personal social media or my personal
yep,
communications, I
yep,
can't express myself because I work for a company, and I get big company and corporation and the image that they want to pursue, but at the same time, people have. I feel like what well, there's tons of things people lost, but one of the
yep,
biggest things people lost over the last 3 4 years is personal individuality. You're no longer allowed to be an individual and express your own opinions. You have to express the opinions of the company that you work for or the people that are around you. And if you don't, you're a fringe minority, I guess.
yeah. You're right. You're exactly right, and I feel bad for those people that you mentioned where they're forced to think a certain way or do things a certain way because of the company they work for, and like this, maybe you think I'm wrong, maybe someone will think I'm wrong about this. I think it goes with anything. For example, there's athletes that say an athlete, does something bad, they get in trouble with the law or this or that,
Yeah.
and then they're banned from playing the sport or this or that. Yeah, sure, they're representative to younger kids and this and that, but what you do in your personal life doesn't matter what it is, shouldn't affect your work
Yeah.
unless it's something like, if you're I don't even want to say it, but you know what I'm saying, like if you're a teacher and
You're a rapist. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Or
then
you're a pedo.
no, that
Yeah.
doesn't work. But you can't, oh, this athlete did this, so he can't work. Now he can't make money because he got in trouble for doing whatever he did. Not to say that's right, whatever
Yeah.
they did, but I just think nowadays you know it's just too much conformity. And one thing that I said along this whole COVID crap that was going on, I know it's completely unrelated,
Yeah.
but like look at Muhammad Ali when he dodged the war, dodged the draft, whatever, didn't want to fight.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying you're un-American, you're a traitor, you're this, you're that. He was shunned by society. Comes to Canada to make some money, did whatever he did. But then, years later, he's a hero because
Yeah.
of what he did, what he stood for. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's always, what's going on. People just side with the popular opinion or what they're shown as the popular opinion with, like these news outlets and stuff that are complete garbage. And they're just feeding people, especially older people who can't really think for themselves because they're brought up looking at the news.
Yeah.
They're getting fed information, then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I have to listen to them. See, the news said it, it's true, and then that's the popular way of thinking.
I like what you said. I like that example you brought up with Ali there because
Mm.
it, for example, God forbid, I know shit's crazy in the world right now, but God forbid that, we had a situation like that with a war again.
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at like something like Ukraine, and if you really study it and you realize that, that kind of, this is a regime change where it has nothing to do with us, right? It has nothing to do with the West. They like to say it does, and it's a threat to
Yeah.
democracy or whatever.
Yep.
But like, do you really think that me as an individual is going to leave my 3-year-old and 4-year-old and my wife and go to a fucking war and fight for Justin Trudeau? Fuck
Yeah.
no. Fuck no. And
Yeah.
if he drafts me, I'll say, fuck you, come to my house and get me. I have my 22 here and I'm ready to go. Right?
100%.
All right. I'm not going to do it. Right. And what would you call me un-Canadian for that?
Not at all.
Right? Yeah, they might. Right.
Yep.
But I'm as Canadian as they fucking come. I was born and raised here from immigrant parents. So I'm a fucking as Canadian as it fucking comes.
Yep.
Through all the bullshit, I haven't left yet, and I've had every reason to, right? And I haven't. I'm here, and I speak up for what I believe in, and I still love Canada with my heart. But I'm not gonna fight in a war
You don't
for
believe
for what I don't believe in, and even that, I'm not gonna fight in a war for a douchebag leader, whoever it is, even if Trudeau leaves office and Polyev comes in, or whoever the fuck whoever comes. I'm not gonna go and fight a war for you, right? Unless you're gonna stand by my side on the front fucking line
Yeah.
with a gun and willing to put your life on the line too. I'm not fucking fighting for you, right? And and I think like Muhammad Ali had it right when he did that, and I think everybody should follow suit. Like it's not un-American or un-Canadian
No.
to believe that way. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Mm,
A-
I
and
agree.
and it's just a shame that we've gotten to this point. Now I know like you've probably gotten some pushback from it, but like, what are your thoughts on like how it's kind of affected sport, right? Because a lot of this woke ideology is kind of coming into sport now, right? Not
It's
so much combat sport. I'll give it some time and it'll fucking get there. But what do you think about how this is like? For example, let's talk about like you know this transgender men competing in women's sport. I think it's fucking ridiculous.
it is. It's insane. It's crazy. You're a parent. I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah,
You're a parent. Imagine your kids have to do a physical sport, whether it's hockey, football, MMA, boxing, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and they're going. Your daughter is going against a someone who's born a man.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be okay with a man, born a man, hitting your daughter?
Fuck no.
That's it's
Fuck no.
insane. It's
It's
in
insane.
yeah,
And the the fact that we're ignoring the physiological differences, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I was born a dude. I have there's so many things that I can do that without even training, I
yeah.
can do better than a woman physically. I'm not being a sexist pig for anyone
No, you're right.
listening. Yeah,
You
like there's so many physical things I can do better than a woman, and there's a lot of things women can do better than men. Like physiologically, women have stronger hips, stronger legs than men physiologically, right? Uh, but men upper body is physiologically stronger. Now,
yes,
when you translate that to a sport like, say, wrestling, what
yeah,
the fuck do you think is going to happen?
yep,
You know what I mean? When you translate it to like, I know they're doing it a lot in sprinting, like they're letting biological men run it. Like, I'm not even a feminist, but like that's like totally against what feminism was fighting for like
then,
30, 40, 50 fucking years,
yeah.
right? Like you're fighting for equal rights for women, and now you're actually letting men take the rights back away. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's insane, and then the way people are brought up, like, "Oh, you can't say that about." You know what? If you're an adult, and I stress the word adult,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want. If you were born a man and you wanna become a woman, do whatever you want, feel free. I don't give a crap what you do. Go
Yeah.
ahead and do it. But then when you wanna bring your ideology of what you think is right, and then you wanna compete as a man, born man against a woman, like, it's insane, and the fact that anybody is even letting it happen is even more insane.
Well, it's becoming accepted now. It's like, okay, whatever you want to identify as, like, what the, like, well, like, how do we even like entertain that in combat sports? It can't be.
No, no,
It
it's
can't. I mean, there was one MMA fighter, and that was about it. But like, it can't be like it's ridiculous to even talk about. But it's an issue now. You know what I mean? Like the swimmer. You know that swimmer Leah or Tia or whatever
yeah,
the fuck their
yeah,
name. Like 350th in the men's division, number one in the women. How do you not see that?
yeah.
Right? How do you not see that as an issue? Now, do you see this kind of changing, or do you think that we're going down the rabbit hole?
To be honest with you, and you might call me like too optimistic or whatever you want to call me, but I actually have noticed more and more that people are getting fed up with this crap.
Yeah.
And I actually like I said, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I think people are really starting to wake up, and all this woke stuff is not as strong as it was even a year ago.
Yeah,
And maybe I'm wrong.
no,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I tend to I see glimmers of hope. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's like little changes happening here and there, but at the same time, do you think that this is more of a political issue? Do you think that it's um like if there is, for example, let's use Canada because Canada's fucked right now, right?
Mhm.
If a government change was to happen, do you see it? Uh, reversing the rule drastically, or do you think this is going to be in like another 5, 6 years before we actually see some real change in these kind of ideologies pushing their way through?
Here's the thing, like I know you mentioned Polyev, right?
Yeah,
Conservatives, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about everything because I don't.
yeah,
But I think if they became in power, and this it's hard to tell because everything he said, everything I hear him say, I agree with.
yeah,
Everything he's doing, but then the thing is though, he's also a politician. So you don't know if he means it or if he's doing what he's doing to get people on his side.
yeah.
However, to be honest, what he talks about and what he's doing, it seems too good to be true. And you know what? Maybe it is just it's going to be great. Like I could see it happening because I don't see with the liberals and NDP and all that coalition, whatever. I don't see things getting better at all with
No,
them. And people say, "Oh, don't talk about politics." I don't give a crap. I'm talking about my life because my life and my kids' future and the world's future is more important than me being a boxer and me
yeah,
making a little bit of money, doing what I'm doing now.
yeah,
There's things that are more important. That's what people forget. people are forgetting that there's a lot more important things than what you do for a living,
Yeah, oh,
right?
for sure, for sure.
But there'll always be something you can do. And do I want to go along with something and, let the world, even though I'm not going to change the world, if a lot of people start standing up,
Yeah,
maybe things will change.
and the the problem I see too with Canada and the way it is like we for so long we said that we weren't like this, but then this pandemic brought it out the most. Like we are as divided as the US, we if not even more, right? And it's apparent now. And people always be like, no, 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 the US is more divided. I'm like, no, we're just as divided. We're just silent, a lot
Yeah.
more silent, right? We're not burning fucking cities down and you
Yeah.
know how they the peaceful protests. Yeah, we're not unpeacefully protest,
Yeah.
right? We're
Yeah.
but we're just as divided, if not even more. When you look at like how our system is kind of set up, like you know, Justin Trudeau got into power with like 20 something percent of the vote,
Yeah.
right? Of the population. Like how can you say that this person can speak for an entire nation as big as Canada, right?
Yeah.
With only 20% of people checking the box for him. It's insane.
Yeah.
Whereas like, the US is not picture perfect, but and by no means do I think their voting system is any better than Canada's. Right? They're all flawed tremendously. But like you're having these, and I think this is like more people are paying attention to politics now than ever, right? But you're having these people making decisions that affect your life that aren't representative of the true majority in a country,
Yep.
right? And if you look at let's take the convoy stuff for example. They make it seem like this was like 100 people.
Yeah.
These were hundreds of thousands of people who
Yep.
supported it. And forget what you feel about the convoy. And some people disagree, and I don't give a shit, right? The 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 amount of people, vaccinated and unvaccinated, didn't freaking matter what they were. It was just what they thought was right and wrong. And I know people who 10 vaccinations, they fucking taken them all, they jabbed themselves to the tits, right? And they
Yeah.
say everything that workplaces were doing mandating it, governments making people feel like shitty human beings because they didn't do something.
Yep.
You didn't wear a mask, so you're a grandma killer, right? Even those people, I know people who are vaxxed to the tits, said that
Yeah.
was bullshit, right? and, that,
100%.
but they found a way, the media found a way to find it to make manipulate people to think that that was a small amount of people, right?
100%.
And then they would nitpick on us, right? So if you posted something like I have been shadow banned beyond belief, right?
Me
For the
too.
amount for the amount of shit I create and put out there, I've been shadow banned beyond belief. I can't like now when I pick up my phone, I'm like, oh, a new follower. Jeez, that's a great day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I will notice if I post a funny meme about somebody fucking falling down, I'll
Yeah.
get tons of story views, tons,
Yeah.
hundreds. If I post something because Trudeau or whatever politician,
Yep.
I'll get like 30, right?
100%. Yep.
Right,
Happens
and
to me all the time.
yeah, and I mean it's frustrating, no?
Yeah. Very frustrating because it's like this is Canada. This is what you're supposed to be the land of the free, you know what I mean? It's just like America. Like we're
Yeah,
supposed to do what we want. Like, and say what we want, have our own beliefs, but now it's kind of like what they want us to believe. And you like I'll be honest, a lot of times I start making a post and I just don't even do it because I'm like, man, like this is just I'm gonna get banned, I'm gonna get blocked, and then you can't even say things that you want to say. Not even that you're afraid, you just don't want to get banned like
yeah,
completely. Like, your account could get taken away. It's just like a joke. And the whole thing with the convoy, despite what anybody says, that's the reason why things got better.
yeah,
But then
100%.
people who thought the other way, than me and you, would say, "Oh no, it was gonna happen anyway. These guys are just stupid. They wasted their time." Yeah, right. Like
Yeah,
it only happened when that happened. And then I had people message me like it was such a joke. I had people that I was cool with message me and say, "Oh, I can't believe you think it's good. There was Nazi flags and there was Confederate flags
And that was proven to be wrong. It's just the
yeah,
media hid that.
100%." And even though it was proven to be wrong, even if there was a couple flags that a couple people literally genuinely supported and they were there, that doesn't matter. That's one or two idiots or a couple idiots.
Yeah.
Like if you have 100,000 people, 500,000, a million people, you're gonna have a bunch of idiots there.
Oh, 100%.
But people take one little thing and they see it three or four times out of hundreds of thousands of people, and then they say, "Oh, look, they're all like this." Like it's about freedom. It wasn't about anything else other than don't tell me what I have to do to my own body and don't tell me what I have to do to get a job and
Yeah.
to work.
And it's hard because I like so a lot of the people that I train,
Mhm.
they work for these big companies and they were the ones enforcing these policies. And you know, and for me, it's always business first. I'm trying like I don't let business cross any other lines, right? But I want, if anything we take away from this whole thing is I want those people who were doing these things, like like they're like pandemic amnesty. Like they're like, oh, we were all afraid. I'm like, no, 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 you don't get a free pass. I'm
No,
sorry. You don't
no,
get a free pass for being a shitty human, right?
you're
Like
right.
when I am a shitty human, I either admit it or I accept the consequences.
Yep,
That's the fucking thing. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be mad and pissed off at people forever because that's also me being a shitty human too.
yep,
But you can't like when you have done like you. I've had grown men call me and cry to me because they were being forced to do something that they
yep,
genuinely didn't want to do,
yep.
right?
Mhm.
And I had to tell them like what do I say? Like, dude, I'm not in your position, but like you have to do what's best for you,
Yep.
right? And at the end of the day, most of the people were forced to take a vaccine
Mhm.
that they didn't want to take, right?
Yep.
And you know, there's other people that are on the other end of this. They're like, "Oh, I see, with the truth coming out, or we see, things weren't as effective as they said it was. Things weren't as dangerous as they said it was. Oh, because you didn't wear a mask, you weren't killing everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's not as easy as saying I'm sorry. What we faced, what a certain amount group of people faced, whatever side you're on this,
Mhm.
is one of the biggest prejudice I have ever felt in my entire life. Right. And like I'm a fucking minority. Like technically, I don't view myself as that.
Yeah.
I've never lived in Canada and thought myself as a brown dude,
Yeah.
right? Never that. I've never walked into a business and been like, "Oh, I'm the only colored person." I've never like, right? Even
Yeah.
when I went to the US to fight or whatever, I've never felt that. Well, I've noticed like I've been to Ohio, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of white people here." Right? But
Uh,
I've never been anywhere where I'm
yeah.
like I feel like that. But like, and I don't even tell anybody whether I've taken it or not. It's nobody's fucking business, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but like the fact that we can't see, like we always talk. People are preaching about racial justice, racial and whatever, and I'm like, we were just the most prejudiced we've ever been to each other in the history of my lifetime, right?
100%.
And the fact that we can't see that and accept that and be like, okay, what we did was wrong.
Yeah.
We can apologize. Like I don't want reparations,
Yep.
right? I don't want people that are like, yo, like, give me reparations for my aunt who was a slave 60 years ago. No, bitch, you're not going through that. You don't get fucking shit, right? But like, I don't think you know people want reparations or for you to just say I'm sorry. I think people just want you to be like, we were wrong,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna now speak on the side of right. And
Yeah.
I'm no longer going to ridicule you for a decision you make, whatever the fuck it is. Whether it's vaccines or your career or your life choices. You know what I mean?
But you're exactly right. But the one thing that I'm going to say is very negative, and I'm a positive person.
Yeah.
But the worst thing about everything here is the fact that as much as we want to, things are never going to change.
Yeah.
Look at history. All along throughout history, you know, when has the government ever wanted the best for you? Never.
Never, never.
Never. It's all about what they want for themselves. And all these things happen, all these bad things that happen throughout the course of history, and it's always their fault, their fault. And then all of a sudden you think, okay, now it's gonna be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't get better. Once things happen, when shit hits the fan, something, there's an excuse. There's propaganda, there's ways to manipulate people, and it shows. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna go into details. I've lost some very close friends because of this.
Yeah. Same.
Because of it, they do. Oh, I can't see you. You walk around without a mask. Oh, that kind of stuff. Like it
Yeah.
was insane. It was insane. And then I got lucky. I got COVID very like early when it was like bad.
Yeah.
You know, the worst or whatever you want to call it. It was nothing for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I was tired for 2 days, and that was it. And I'm sure a lot of people got sick. Some people got really bad. I know people personally that got extremely sick, like one little degree away from going to the hospital. What people forget about this whole time is you get sick, you get better. You
Yeah.
know, the people that died would have died if they were sick anyway.
Yeah.
It's like it just the whole thing is just completely insane. And I'm sure you felt the same way where, I hate saying this, but I feel so much smarter than I ever thought I was. It's
Yeah.
like some of my friends have 3 degrees and they're this or that, and they're completely ignorant. And I was the dumb one the whole time, and now I'm the smart one. And some of them, a lot of them still think, oh, whatever, I just, did what I had to do, or, believe what I had to believe, but it's okay. Things are better.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that because, I know some people that lost everything. And
Yeah.
those were the people that I was standing up for. And like I said before, I don't give a,
Yeah.
I can swear on your podcast. I don't
Oh,
give a
you can.
shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't give a
Uh,
shit.
no, you can say whatever. You can say whatever the fuck you want on this thing. I don't care. Uh,
I don't care what it did for me or didn't for me, because you know what? And did it get me anything? Like, no. Did
no.
people, all the people that supported me, and I'm not asking for this. I didn't see all these people that were like, good for you for standing up. It's not like I got a big influence, like a big support where all of a sudden people bought my merchandise, people this, that.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't have jobs or money. It didn't do anything for me financially.
Well, I think too, one of the things where we're in a different position than everybody is because we were in the fitness and health industry anyway, of like training people. And
Yep.
then most of the people we know are gym owners
Yeah.
and our coaches. And so I had to watch a lot of the people I genuinely love and care for
Yep.
that have sacrificed countless hours,
Yeah.
bringing me up over you know how it is when you travel to fights, right? Like your coaches don't make much money, right? In fact, they lose money traveling with you. So over like I've done that for so long, and I've watched these people develop really great businesses, and then all of a sudden, they're on the verge of bankruptcy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're begging the government for money, and all they want to do is teach jujitsu or
Yeah.
teach boxing or teach like my Muay Thai coach is like, Ash, man, I just want to fucking teach Muay Thai. That's all
Yeah.
I want to do. I don't want to engage in political shit. I don't want to say who's right. I just want to fucking teach Muay Thai. And I watch all these people that I love and genuinely care for lose almost everything.
Yep.
Right? Gyms that I love are not existent anymore.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of people didn't see that because they got to, work from home. They got their paycheck still, right?
They're
And they were good, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll follow along, no problem. I'll do whatever because I still get my paycheck." Where they didn't get to see the suffering that we saw. They didn't get to see, you know, for those last 3 years. I remember, I felt like a criminal because we would go and train with boarded up fucking windows, and I'm like, "Yo, I feel like I'm breaking a law. I shouldn't feel like this for wanting to exercise."
100%. And then like the one thing that's gonna help you through this pandemic, right, is
Yeah,
gonna be being healthy.
being healthy, and to this day, and it grinds my gears, fucking grinds my gears.
Yeah.
To this day, there's no messaging saying that if you want to avoid, getting sick, whether it be COVID, the
Exactly.
flu, common cold, heart disease, eat properly,
Yeah.
you know, eat foods without preservatives, you
Mhm.
know, exercise daily. You don't have to train like a professional athlete, you know, 30 minutes a day of, cardiovascular, strength training, fucking
Yep,
dancing, whatever. You know, take care of your mental health, talk to people, you know what I
yep,
mean? Go be parts of community events, do things, team sports, whatever. And, those are the simple things that we like drink water,
yeah,
right? Right.
yep,
Those are when people come to me like, actually, I need to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, drink water. Those are the simple fucking things. And still we are 3.5 years plus into
yeah.
this bullshit. And
You're
that is not the messaging. The messaging is take medications.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Like some things I'll never forget. I remember driving in the middle of summer, seeing this woman walk outside by herself. There's nobody around. She's wearing a mask and she has a huge box of Taco Bell. She's carrying food like this of Taco
Yeah,
Bell,
yeah.
and she's outside with a mask on. And I just look at it, I'm like I was driving and I was like, this is insane. Like people they,
COVID's not going to kill you, bitch. That
yeah,
Taco
like
Bell list. Yeah.
you know what? And you know what? You could say, oh, I was inside, I had my mask on. Sure. You know what? So, I do some things, I do some acting stuff, some background stuff, some of that BS. And you know how all those people are. And I'm wearing a mask when I'm at work. When I had to go to work, I had to wear a mask. It's either you wear one or you're not getting the job. You're getting sent home. You're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So I'd wear it. I put it down here, whatever. The second I had to take it off, I took it off. Right. And it's like, as much as I wanted to say, screw you, I needed money. I didn't
Yeah.
care. I needed to work. I needed money. So I always put it down. They'd come to me 10 times, put your mask up. Yeah, yeah, sure. And I just keep it down. I don't care you wear a mask, you don't wear a mask. But when you're seeing people, they're walking outside and you'll go like 10 feet to them and throw the mask back up. Like it's gonna protect them. Like when
Yeah.
there's all the information out there that everybody saw that these generic bullshit masks do not work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You need an N95. And
yeah,
even then, were you,
stop it perfectly and
yeah, you see how many people do you know that followed every fucking guideline and still got the fucking virus?
right. That's what I said. I knew people that stayed in the house for years. The moment they get out, they're sick.
Yeah.
Kids go to school, boom, they're sick, sick, sick. They have no immune system,
Yeah.
right? And everybody knew this stuff. I'm not a doctor by any means, as we all know,
Yeah.
right? But it's just common sense. The fact is though, this whole thing was done so well by them that people that I thought were the smartest people I knew showed me they have no common sense. And I thought of them as very smart people, and then they thought I was a complete idiot the whole time. And it just shows me like, and I hate to say it, right? It's the whole division thing too, but
Yeah.
you know, it just shows you how easily people can be manipulated. And the worst thing about it is when you start thinking, what's going to happen when something bad comes along?
Yeah. When
And
something really bad comes along, right?
yeah, and people that thought like me are going to be like, oh, screw this, and then all of a sudden they're going to be dead. You don't because like you don't know you'll never know what to trust with until till time tells all, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when this first happened, the first week, I remember walking outside and I was like avoiding people. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah. I will say the same. And like when in retrospect, I'm against lockdowns. I'm anti. They label everything as anti, right?
Yeah,
Like if you don't like pencils, you're anti-pencil now. You know what I
I'm
mean?
anti. Yeah, I'm anti lockdown. I'm
Yeah.
anti lockdown 100%.
Right. But like I'm against lockdown. I think they're the worst thing for humanity, right? The dumbest thing. But even now, in retrospect, I can understand the very first one. I don't agree with it,
Yeah,
but I understand because I was just like you. Like
yeah,
we didn't have information.
yeah.
Like I'll admit, I wore fucking gloves into the fucking grocery store, and for the first week we were wiping our groceries like
Yeah,
everybody else because we thought we didn't know anything. And then information came coming, you're like, wait a minute.
yeah,
You're like, hold on, wait a minute. That doesn't that doesn't wait a minute. And then slowly and I remember saying this to my wife one day. I'm like, I'm gonna get it. She's
yeah,
like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm gonna get this at some point. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop grappling. I'm not gonna
yeah,
stop doing these things.
yep,
Right? I'm not fighting anytime soon, but I do these things because I love it. I love jujitsu. I love boxing. I love I'm gonna get it. Right?
yep,
And lo and behold, I fucking got it. Yeah, it was a little shitty for like 3 days, but then
yep,
like the human body does, it gets over it, and then you're better. But like, I can understand the initial fear. right?
Yeah. You're right.
As with everybody, right? What I can understand is how as information came, and it was public information, like they would even say it on the news, how it was distorted and manipulated so much that people just seem to think that they distorted it's almost like I can't even articulate this, right? Like the information was there
Yep.
and they presented it in such a way
Yep.
that you still were afraid that these things could happen to you, but the information was showing that you it wouldn't happen.
Yep. And the crazy thing is too, during this thing, right? A lot of people agreed with what I was posting, what I was saying. The majority, I'd say 98% of people that messaged me agreed with me.
Yeah.
Even though they did whatever they did or they went along with whatever lockdowns, I was doing whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah.
Other people are actually following the rules, so fuck that, right? But the one thing that I thought was so crazy, where's it going with this? I had this good oh fuck, I just dropped it. I got sidetracked. I got sidetracked.
You're so it grind your gears so much you forgot about it, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. But I started remembering certain things and I got pissed off.
Yeah.
That was so
It-
dumbass of me.
it's okay. It'll come back to you.
It'll come back.
But the one like you were saying, like people getting angry at you for stuff, right? Like I remember I
I remember what I
posted.
was gonna say, but
Okay, go
talk.
ahead. No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I've had a few people in the medical field, medical doctors, nurses message me to try to like thinking, oh, this boxer thinks he's so smart. Okay. Every single time a someone in the medical field messaged me and we had a discussion, they ended up done. They couldn't say anything because they were proven wrong with everything,
Yeah.
right? And I had people telling me, oh, even about, getting vaccinated. If you get vaccinated, you'll not get it. And I'm like, are you telling me right now that if you get vaccinated, that you won't get it? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, you should not be a doctor. You should not be a nurse.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. That you're a disgrace to the profession
Yeah.
because they were just going along with what they were told. Because when you're brought up in that field, everything that's in the textbook is what you believe. Whatever these people tell you is what you believe. So you
Well,
were, you know,
even if you were a doctor and you questioned it, they were coming after you,
yep,
right? They
yep,
were trying to silence you. And
yep,
like I have my family MD. Like one of the things me and my wife did is after we got COVID, I wanted to do the blood test.
yep,
Right? I was like, all right, and we did the blood test about 6, 7 months after we had COVID.
yep.
Right? And we got the blood test back, and our results were our antibodies were through the fucking roof. Right? My wife's more than me. Actually, I was
Yep,
jealous. Right? I was like, damn. But so I call my doctor calls me to tell me what the results were, right?
yep,
And so I'm like, well, doc, according to these levels, you know, this means my immunity is extremely high, right? He's like, yes, your immunity is extremely high. You should not have anything to worry about going forward. And I asked him this, and this is like, I'm not gonna put his name out there because then
yep,
they'll go after him too.
yeah.
I'm like, as a doctor, I'm like, at this point, do you see any benefit to a vaccination for me?
Yep,
This is an honest question. And he's like, well, I'm not an immunologist, but
yep.
as your doctor, there's no benefit for you,
That see, you got a
right?
good guy.
Yeah, he's like, I cannot recommend that you do something
Yep,
when you are actually showing a very high level of immunity. There's no, and he said this to me, is there's no research that I know of that will show that you will gain any more benefit from
yep,
doing this. And I was like, thank you, doc, because you're the first one I've talked to. I've talked to plenty of doctors about it, asking their opinion, who just gave his general opinion as opposed to the the um,
scripted.
the scripted
Yeah,
response,
yep,
right? Well,
yep,
because the scripted response is, well, it doesn't matter if you've had COVID, doesn't matter if your antibodies test high, you should get vaccinated to protect others around you.
100%.
I mean, that's the script. Whereas, what reality dictated was like, if my my antibodies showed that I was super low,
Mhm.
I would have considered that action, right? Like anybody else, I've been like, oh, maybe I'm vulnerable to this thing, but you know, I had a actual real medical doctor tell me there was, given my circumstances, my age, my already high levels of antibodies, that there's no benefit for me. And I'm not against it. Like, when people say like you're an anti-vax, I'm not against like I've
Right.
gotten every other fucking vaccine there was, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's when I was growing up, you went and got a vaccine for
yeah.
whatever the fuck, right? I'm not against this one or I'm not against any. I'm against the fact that you're trying to force it onto people
100%.
and
100.
it may not be in their best interest.
Yep.
And that was my whole problem with it. Is like,
Yeah.
you're not going to go and tell somebody to, take a vaccine for shingles when they don't have shingles,
Mhm.
right? You know what I mean? Or they're not vulnerable to shingles. Like
Yeah.
I'm not. Some people are going to destroy me for that, but fuck you, I don't care, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You're not going to go and take someone to take a vaccine for X
Chicken
or
pox, if you had chicken pox, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly, right? So
Yeah.
why would you tell somebody to do something to put something in their body that is not 100% tested,
Yeah.
right? And Neil deGrasse Tyson will argue, "Oh, it has been tested." I'm like, "Bitch, no, no.
Yeah.
You ran some tests, but we're talking about long-term study. We're talking
100%.
about things that over time to see, like, if 10 years down the road there is an effect, right?
Yeah.
Um, and now you're gonna try and force people to do that. Like, I'm not okay with that on any level,
You're right.
regardless of how you feel about it.
You're right. And the
You know?
one, like, I keep saying this, but what they did, this whole thing is literally like a master manipulation, and it's actually insane how well it worked.
Yeah,
Because even now, for example, all these athletes are dying, and there's more athletes have died in the last 2 years, and all that. What I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I know the statistics. Yeah,
Yeah, but the thing is, though, not even about the athletes, but you see a news reporter dropping dead. It's happening all the time.
yeah.
But the thing is, though, a lot of people that thought like we're thinking and this and that will look for any excuse to blame the vaccine for anything that happens,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying these athletes, because this athlete thing doesn't make sense to me. But
No.
I'm just saying when it comes to certain things, like, oh, you hear about a 50-year-old man that was healthy dies of a heart attack. The first thing people say is, oh, they're probably vaccinated, right?
Yeah.
The problem with saying that is you're kind of discrediting all the thinking that all of your thinking that you've had this whole time where, you know, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're trying, and I see that trend too, and it bugs me too.
Yeah,
Because I don't care whether you were or you weren't. It doesn't fucking matter. But like, okay, somebody drops dead, right? You're like, oh, he's probably vaccinated, right? It's probably a side effect, right? And
yeah,
that's flawed logic in itself, right? Because people die for all sorts of reasons.
all sorts of reasons.
All sorts of reasons. Like, I mean, look at our friend that we both know, Elias. He had colon cancer. What are you gonna say? He got vaccinated, so he got colon cancer and died? No, like he had colon. Those are external factors of why. But I think the problem that is going on is that you know society, because of how well they did it, like you put it, how well it worked,
It was all about that. Yeah,
is all. You can't even bring up the question now. If you
yeah,
were to bring up, is it a possibility that the vaccination caused this?
yeah,
And if so, how can we fix this? Oh,
yeah,
you're an anti-vaxxer. No,
exactly.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying. I'm not saying that he got a blood clot because of the vaccine. I'm
yeah,
saying that we know that these situations have arisen,
you're right.
right?
But
There's a pattern, but
you
he could have got a blood clot because he is eating Taco Bell fucking 17 times a day, right?
yep,
Or he could have got a blood clot from because he was vaccinated 3 weeks ago.
yep,
Why is it so bad that I bring up the question that is it
yeah.
worth looking into this,
You're
right?
exactly right. And you know what I'm going to say here. On that note, then people will say, "Oh, why are you asking that question?" And then you know what I'm going to say here. You had to ask me that question for me to walk into a movie theater. or for me to walk into a restaurant,
Yeah.
which is none of your fucking business, but it's okay for you to ask. But now the tables have turned, I can't ask that question.
Yeah, and we're not asking it out of like, ha ha, you got a blood clot because you
Yeah,
have. We're
yeah,
asking it because somebody genuinely, as good people, we're genuinely be like, yo, something is wrong with this person, and
exactly,
we get to the root cause of it so that they don't fucking die,
hundred
right? So,
percent.
you know what I mean?
In the hospital, they were saying there was deaths that were COVID when they didn't. It wasn't COVID. COVID
Yeah,
wasn't the cause of death, but they were classifying it as COVID, and we know this, and we know it to be true. It's proven fact. But people just, oh, it's okay. It's COVID. It doesn't matter. It's under the rug.
yeah.
Like
And
this is,
and I'm gonna bring this one. I haven't talked about this one on my podcast yet, but that Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo
yeah,
Bills safety.
yep,
Okay, you are a professional fighter as well as I am. You've been training for
yep,
how many fucking years? How many times have you been punched in the chest, like really fucking hard?
tons,
Tons. Okay,
tons.
probably I'd say 1,000 plus times a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have the exact the excuse they use, the myocard, the he got hit at the exact time of the electrical impulse and that how many times have we been hit? So statistically, I should have had that same fucking thing happen to me
Yeah,
1,000 fucking times.
yeah,
I've been front kicked to the chest millions of times in a year, right?
yeah,
I'm not saying that this is the case, but I'm
yep,
saying that that to me did not look like that. That
yeah,
looked like that young man suffered a fucking vicious heart attack due to heart inflammation. And I'm gonna just straight out say it, right?
yeah, yeah,
And until they prove me wrong, until he comes out and says something or whatever, great. If that's the case, I'm happy that he proved me wrong, right?
yeah,
But that was not some freak fucking, his heart, he got hit at that. I mean, look at the hit. The hit wasn't vicious at all.
no,
Don't give me that fucking excuse. That
yeah,
young man suffered because we know statistically 94 for 5% of the NFL players got vaccinated.
mhm,
We know that for a fact. So there's a good chance that he was,
yep,
right? Um, it's happening, and that was a vicious fucking heart attack. I'm happy that he's alive, and I hope. Well, I don't think he'll ever play football again, but
mm,
but like, why can't that conversation happen, right?
exactly. Yep,
I'm not saying that it is. I'm not
yep,
saying that it isn't.
you're right.
I think that like, given that circumstance on that, and that was happening in Europe far more than happened. It was just the first time it happened here,
Yeah,
right?
and they
And
said, like, I forgot the numbers, but it was in the last 30 years before the last 2 years, the number of deaths of athletes, how
it was
much
like 3,000 something. Yeah,
it was insane.
yeah.
It
And the fact that you can't even ask that question,
Yep,
it is disgusting in itself. And like, at my church alone, we have a lot of people who, like, I'll use this example. This one girl from India. She's from India, and she had to come over here to work, so they made her take the shots, right? And she within 2 days after her second shot, she got this profuse bleeding coming out of her nether regions, right? So
yep,
she went to the hospital, and she's like literally sitting on there with they got towels seeping it up. It wouldn't
yep,
stop. And she told it, and first of all, they took hours to see her. Second, and then once they did see her, she's like, "Well, I just got the vaccine 2 days ago. This happened the first time too, but now it's even worse." And they're like, "No, it's not the vaccine. They gave her some antibiotics and go home." I'm like,
yeah,
why are we so like? Why is there some team against like actually investigating the root cause of it? If it
yep,
is, like, we should be wanting to figure these things out to help people. And shit, you should want to figure this out so that you can actually make the vaccine better and actually effective and get rid of these side effects, right?
100%.
But like, the fact that we can't even ask these questions, and then we're going in this big fucking circle, and then when you do ask the questions, you're anti this and anti that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you everyone's become a sellout. It's all about money.
Yeah,
Everything is about money, and that's exactly what this is about. This whole
yeah,
thing, we all know it.
yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, we just been ranting for like an hour and a half about that
Yeah,
shit.
you go on forever. Like, it just
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
the
It's-
problem
but-
is you you'll never convince anybody. It's
No.
like their mind is made up. Like it's
Uh,
insane.
anyway, let's wrap this up. Tell everybody about your next fight, where it's gonna be, and how they can get tickets to come see you and all that kind of jazz.
Right. Well, the tickets I don't believe are out yet, but I'm obviously everyone knows I'm with Lee Baxter Promotions. I've had a few cancellations, quite a few lately, and over the last like 6 7 months, like multiple. And an offer came our way to be on the Red Owl card, so it's in Brampton, Red Owl training center. So that's where it's going to be in Brampton. It's going to be March 11th, and hopefully I have like more details soon. But I'm looking forward to getting back in there. So
Yeah, and where can everybody find you online and that kind of stuff?
my Instagram is Nick_Fantauzi. Social media, Facebook, I have Team Fantauzi and my personal Nick Fantauzi, but stick to the Team Fantauzi one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's basically where you can get at me. And I appreciate everyone their support, and I just can't wait to get back in there.
yeah, man. Well, looking forward to seeing you getting that W again, right?
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. It
No
really
problem. It was fun. We'll do it again, and we'll next time we'll do it. We'll make sure you got a belt around your waist, as Canadian champ, right?
percent. That's the last thing I was gonna say is that the thing that pissed me off so much is one of the things that pissed me off the most. 2020, April 20th, I was scheduled to fight for the Canadian title, and COVID happened. Boom.
Yeah,
And then, at my advanced age, 2 years, no fights.
yeah. And there you go. Well, hopefully we get you back in that picture, and the next time we talk, you got that belt around your waist, right?
Happen ASAP. Yeah. Hopefully the next fight after this.
All right, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thank you, brother.
Likewise, man. Thank you.
All right, take care. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening to the Grinds My Gears podcast. Please head over to Spotify. Make sure you like and subscribe, as well as head over to YouTube. Hit the subscribe button and the like on the video as well. And head over to gmg-podcast.com to get all up to date info on the podcast, as well as other special things that we have on that website.